Well, indeed, we're getting ready for Ravens-Texans, the season opener Sunday, and you can hear our next guest as he will be alongside Spiro Deeds and Aditi Kinkhabwala on CBS. He is former NFL safety Adam Archuleta, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Adam, it's Glenn and Stan in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Oh, yes. Good morning. It's that time again, and I know I'm excited, and I'm sure you guys are too.
We should have gotten you a card, like happy football season. That's on us. We'll send a fruit basket. We'll make sure there's a fruit basket waiting in the booth for you on Sunday to welcome back football season.
Well, now that you apologize, I could take you off my people to kill list, but that's all right.
Touche.
Yeah, we deserved it. Adam, so, we're in a weird place in Baltimore, right, where – the history of this franchise is defense. And then I look at this team coming into this year and I say, boy, I am really nervous about the secondary, particularly without Marlon Humphrey on Sunday. I'm at least a little bit apprehensive about the edge rush. Are we watching a time where perhaps the pendulum is swinging for the Ravens as a franchise from being defensive-minded to sort of openly acknowledging, hey, we're going to have to win with our offense moving forward?
Well, if you don't, then you're going to be sadly disappointed because, that's who you guys are. And that's what you really have to be if you invest and you have a superstar quarterback like Lamar Jackson, right? So you're not going to have a guy like that. You're not going to pay a guy like that $250-some million and still be a defensive football team. And so you may feel a little bit apprehensive, but I wouldn't. I think that's kind of a glass half empty approach. I think I would be more excited to see what the new possibilities are. And if everything pans out, you're going into this season healthy, it could be an exciting season for you. So I would maybe challenge you to kind of shift your frame of thinking from apprehension to, hey, what are our possibilities? This could be a pretty fun year.
Tell us a little bit about your understanding of what a Todd Monken offense is going to look like.
Have you seen the movie Interstellar?
I have, yes. It's been a little while.
I haven't,
yeah.
but
yeah.
Well, I could probably explain that a little bit better than I can explain what to expect. I have no idea because there's so many unknowns. What you do know is you have all the ingredients to be a pretty good offense, right? This could be, if we're looking at our upside, this could be a really a fun, devastating offense to watch. Just think about the production. I know it's kind of gone down a little bit. Lamar's been hurt, but you've still been an offense that scored around 28, 30 points a game, right? And that's without all the different weapons, So I think that's going to be one of the more fun things to see this season. How does he put it all together? Look, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of hype. They're going to throw the ball around. They've got just ridiculous speed and talent on that side of the football. How he's able to put it together. I wouldn't expect it all to work out, on Sunday. And it might take some time to try to figure all this stuff out. But I think that's one of the mysteries of this season. I think that's one of the more fun aspects if you're a Baltimore fan to see exactly how it is going to play out and exactly how he's going to be able to put it all together. Because, again, let's face it, I know it's easy to get on hype trains before any game has started, but there's some exciting pieces to this offense. And I think kind of the question marks kind of make it maybe a little bit more exciting because you really don't know how it's going to work out. But at least you're going into this season with a lot of optimism rather than, wow, we've got a lot of holes to fill and, it's not looking good like there's some teams that are getting ready to start Sunday off.
Adam, I was wondering, though, if you could talk a little bit about what you just addressed, that it might not all happen the first week, the second week, the third week. How much does football 2023 and the fact that nobody plays anymore in actual preseason games, how much does that slow the growth of the cohesion of this offense?
Well, I don't think it's much different than it's always been because, let's face it, teams are very different at the end of the season than they are at the beginning of the season. And so it's going to be, there's always growth. And I think it is kind of a cliche, but you're not trying to be at your best on opening day, right? And so how they put it together, how this offense evolves, how everybody stays healthy. I mean, it's going to be a much different football team and a much different offense 6 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now, 16 weeks from now than it is today. And I think that's just the nature of it. And so, look, we don't know what it's going to look like. I don't. You guys maybe do because you're here. Maybe you've seen some practices.
We still don't. We
I don't know
promise
what,
you.
right?
Yeah.
We don't know what it's going to look like, but we do, feel like there is a shift to get Lamar to the next level. I think the offense that they ran with Greg Roman, I thought it really served him well to have really good early success, to capitalize on his unbelievable strengths and abilities that he has. But he probably, let's face it, is maxed out. Now, can he take the next step? I think that's going to be fun to watch. I don't know if he can or not. But I do know that he's got a better chance to see if this can be a more balanced offense, a more passing-centric offense. And so they're going to have all the tools and all the weapons at their disposal. But it's not going to look the same in 2 months as it is on opening day.
He is, of course, Adam Archuleta. He'll be on the call with Spiro Deeds and Aditi Kinkabwala Sunday, 1 o'clock on CBS for Ravens-Texans. Adam, I do want you to know that, my apprehensions about the defense are mad. I am overwhelmed with excitement about what this offense could be. But let me go back to the defense if I could, because there's one player, and you being a safety, that I think could be a huge difference maker. We were really impressed as Kyle Hamilton's season went along last year. At the beginning of the year, it was a bit shaky, and then as the season went along, he really settled in nicely and looked like a difference maker and a legitimate playmaker at this level. What did you see from Kyle Hamilton, and do you feel like there's an opportunity for him to take a legitimate star turn here in year 2?
Well, I do, and I think it's kind of what we just talked about on the offensive side of the ball. There's a getting comfortable period, and especially for a young guy like Kyle Hamilton, you got to figure out, what are your strengths? What do you do well? Mike McDonald, they got to figure out, hey, how do we put all these pieces together on this defense, not only as a team, but how do we maximize and figure out what gets each individual player to be able to play at their peak, right? And so I think as you saw the season go on and they started moving him around and they started kind of playing him close to the line of scrimmage, I could tell you as a player, and especially as a safety, who I had a definite strength of being down in the box and blitzing and being a part of the run game. When you're not comfortable and you're not really sure and you're just kind of out there managing, you're a different player. But if you start to get in your wheelhouse and then you start to experience a little bit of success, confidence is a real thing.
Yeah.
And so you start to feel yourself as a player and you start to say, okay, I can really do some things out here, right? And then all of a sudden you start playing with instincts and you start playing with some freedom and you're not playing on your heels. And I think you saw that sort of happen for Kyle last year. And so that was very encouraging to see. I'm always a big believer that you want to play with instincts. You want to make fast decisions. You want to be able to commit and be able to trust your eyes and go out there and play what you see. And if he can continue to do that, I agree with you guys. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think the sky's the limit.
Like the sounds of that.
Let's take a quick turn over to the other side of the ball. A Houston Texans team that was 3-13 last year, under 3-13-1.
Yes,
I don't want to take away that one.
It matters.
That did Lovie Smith in. Tell us a little bit about what you know about how different this team's going to be. And clearly, they're not going to be the same team this Sunday that they will be in 6 or 8 weeks.
Well, sure, and Houston fans, hopefully, they're saying the same thing. Listen, this is a team, and I've seen them quite a bit in the last couple of years. I'm very close with Lovie Smith. It's a team that, look, when you are struggling to find your identity and who you are, you don't have somebody that you feel real strongly about that can take you to another level at the quarterback position, you're going to struggle. And so I think when you look at the Texans, I think Stroud. I think he has a bright future. Of course, look, you never know how it's ultimately going to pan out when you have a rookie quarterback, but he checks all the boxes. So they've got that. I think DeMeco Ryans is a perfect coach for the Houston Texans. They invested heavily. It's not going to help them out on Sunday, but they invested heavily in their offensive line. But they're down some horses, up there. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But they have invested, and they have some key foundational pieces on the offensive line, which is essential if you're going to be a good football team. And one thing that was strikingly missing from their defense, besides tackling and good assignment, sound football, was the lack of a front four. They really struggled. They had no difference makers on the front four. Will Anderson, he checks all the boxes as well, right? And so if you want to foundational pieces of your team, quarterback, offensive line, defensive front, those are the key ingredients that you have to have. And they've made steps to address those with really, high quality, good players and coaches that have a lot of upside. And so again, they're in a much different place. Like, I would go into their season, with apprehension. Like, I don't know if it's going to work out, how it's going to work out. It's probably not going to be great, but at least there's something to get excited about.
Yeah.
Last year, I don't think you could have said that.
I actually think that they could be an interesting team. I'm not trying to suggest they're going to compete for something, but, man, there's a lot of really nice pieces there that I like. I just think it's extraordinary to ask for that in week one. Adam, if I could, you're going to be doing a lot of CBS and AFC, of course, because of that, although I know this year there's going to be more mixing and matching with Fox. The AFC is just murderer's row right now, right? Like, it's just so insanely loaded and so many good quarterbacks. Obviously, the Chiefs didn't look great last night in game one, but they'll get Travis Kelce back, and that'll probably change a little bit of that. And Patrick Mahomes, I don't think, is going to stop being Patrick Mahomes. What does it take for a team like the Ravens? How do any of these teams in the AFC separate themselves in a conference that's just so insanely loaded with all of the best quarterbacks in football, not named Jalen Hurts?
I don't think you separate yourself, quite honestly. I really don't. Not if you're, one of the haves, right? And I think the Ravens are in that category. You're not going to separate yourself. You're not going to run away with it because they're just too good. I mean, just look at your division. Cincinnati is tough. I think, Pittsburgh's always tough. This is a tough division. It may not, but no, they're not going to separate themselves. But it's kind of, again, what we talked about earlier in the show. It's how does this thing build, right? You say it, and it's important for every single team in the National Football League, but especially with the Ravens, you got to stay healthy, right? Look, Lamar Jackson has proven a lot, okay? He has an impressive resume. But really, it doesn't really matter what he does in the season because now he's going to be defined by the playoffs, okay? Every quarterback who's that young guy, whether it's Burrow or Mahomes or Jalen Hurts, Lamar's in that category, but what do they have? They've got postseason success. So whether that means stay healthy, whether that means get there and ball out like you've always done, to me that's really what this season comes down to. Can this Ravens team stay healthy? And then Lamar has to take it into another gear. I do believe the Ravens are going to be a playoff football team, but when they get in the postseason, I mean, really, that's what Lamar and the Ravens are going to be defined by is that kind of success.
Adam, I got one last question for you, and it's a little bit not above your pay grade, but different than what you're usually analyzing. You used to play for the Washington Redskins. There's a lot of talk now about changing the name. The new ownership group has made it clear that one name they won't change to will be going back to the Redskins. Does that matter at all to the players on the field? And what do you really think of the name Commanders?
I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and I enjoy being nostalgic. And so I like the original name personally.
Yep.
I still, when I talk to my friends, I still say it. I don't say it on TV, but I don't think ultimately the players really care. The players care about getting better.
Yep.
I think maybe alumni may care, now that you don't really have to worry about getting ready to play a game on Sunday. But really, to the guys in the locker room, I mean, this is kind of stuff that, let's be honest, it's kind of irrelevant. You may have an opinion on what name you'd like, but at the end of the day, it really has nothing to do with getting ready to play and trying to build your career and trying to be a great player. But, I mean, I guess for fans and media, I guess it's something else to talk about. Whatever the name is, I'll say the right name on television. And
it's a man who wants to stay employed. That's what I know. It is Commanders or whatever they tell me it is next week. That's the name that we go with. Adam,
I actually find myself saying just calling them Washington, quite honestly, because it's just easier.
It's
right?
a great way to avoid any. Right. 100%. It's a great way. Adam, is there anything else we can plug for you that you have going on these days?
No, man, just check us out. I'm excited. The last couple of years I was with Gumbel, and I'm back with Spiro. Spiro's one of my true great friends. I'm looking forward to this season. I'm excited. So just watch and don't get too upset out there if I'm not glowingly, gushingly positive about your team if you're not if they're not playing.
Oh
well.
no, you know how this goes, Adam. You hate us. You've always hated us. You know, I can't believe they keep putting Archuleta on the games. Yeah. God, no, we understand, brother. Enjoy it. Enjoy your time in Baltimore. We'll try to say hello. Thanks so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, guys, no problem.